Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tanis Coughlin with Twillow Lifestyle Community, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Jennifer. Jennifer.
Hi, I am Jennifer, and I am a teacher and a practitioner with Twillow Lifestyle, and I also have my holistic self.
Awesome. So here at Twillow Talk, what we usually do is we pick a card from this deck here, Diana Cooper, Greg Stewart, the wisdom cards, and we have an impromptu, authentic conversation about spiritual topics. So, shall we see what the cards have to say today, Jen?
Let's see.
And we are live, so if you have any comments or anything, please feel free to put them in the chat. Unless you're seeing the replay of this.
Even then,
Even then, we can probably get back to you on that. Balance. There's an interesting one. So it is balance is what we're talking about today. What?
We did balance.
Did we do balance?
Yeah, we can do balance again.
Well, pick another one. I did sort of end up with, mixing them in by accident. So,
I mean, maybe we're meant to do it again. Maybe somebody needs it today.
Maybe. Let's see if they'll give us something else.
Okay.
Oh, positivity?
Sure.
Positivity. Let's do positivity. Not to be confused with toxic positivity, which we can chat about. All right. Positivity. When you commit beyond the ordinary to a greater possibility, your positivity carries a powerful charge that backs up your greatest visions and attracts unexpected support from individuals in the universe. Miracles happen, the impossible becomes possible, and you experience a vibrancy of life that pervades every cell in your body. Wisdom reminds you to be aware of the tangible power of positive thinking and to give full attention to your goals. Your thoughts can promote the success you aim for, transform your relationships, finances, and heal your body. So the affirmation for this week, I am positively focused today. I am positively focused today. So, positivity.
I really like the affirmation in the sense that it's very much when you think about like Reiki and the principles there, it's just for today, right? And I think that in that, it also helps us to avoid that toxic positivity slide, right? Yeah. Because just for today, I'm going to try to see things in a positive light, to see how I can move forward, how I can overcome, blocks or challenges. As opposed to this idea, and I find it happens a lot because, you'll read in all of these different articles and stuff, like 10 ways to change to a positive outlook, or how to, always see things from a positive light. And I think that there's a deception in that, because all of our emotions, all of the things that we experience, even the ones that we label as bad or negative, are all part of our process and part of what helps us grow. And so when I think of positivity, I think of it more as being able to separate ourselves from everything a bit, to become that observer and to be able to say, yeah, you know what? Like, even this negative experience is going to teach me something or bring me somewhere or show me something. And in that, we can have positivity without it turning toxic.
Yeah, because it's not normal for humans to always be happy, right? That's not what we're here for. We're here to experience, like you said, the whole gamut of emotions, right? So yes, we can take a positive stance on things or a positive outlook on things, but I think it's important to not forget that we still have to experience and process the energy and the information that might not be positive. Because
Yeah, like
that's where we push it down, and then it just ends up being dense energy, right?
I'm reminded of the happiness trap, and it talks about how if we spend all of our time looking for happiness, we're going to have a really hard time finding it, right? Because our focus is on the idea that it is something outside of ourselves that we have to find,
Right.
right? Whereas we focus on just being, happiness comes.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a whole study done where they put people in rooms and they told the one group, just focus on being happy. Right. And then they told the other group, just do your thing. And the results were amazing because the group that was focused on being happy had a lot more trouble finding happiness and experiencing that than the group that was just doing their thing and listening to the music or mingling or doing whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I think, again, this idea of positivity, we sometimes get caught up in, well, especially like when people talk about like manifesting. And I'm not bashing on manifesting at all.
No, because it is an important
because it is a
tool.
really important piece.
Yeah.
But this idea of like, I'm always looking for this thing to bring me joy, or once I have this, and as long as I can stay positive enough to bring this into my reality, it implies that I can't have that happiness yet, or I can't have that positivity until, you know what I mean? And so I think that we just have to balance it, right? The other thing that we told for today.
Exactly. Maybe we're supposed to talk about both balance and positivity. Right? Yeah.
And so there is definitely a balance to be had in positivity.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I have a blank. The moment. Nobody's talking to me today. My head.
Ted said here, about the, loving the idea of positively focused today.
Yes.
Yes.
And hello, Ted Bricks.
And hello. And, it's so fascinating when I think about the idea of positivity too, right? Because I find for the most part, I'm a fairly positive person anyway. And so, I'm one of those people who I can find the silver lining in anything, and I can reframe. Like, I've had colleagues say, like, you're like the reframe queen, right? Because I will reframe something and pull something positive out of it. But I think the biggest piece in being able to do all of that is not negating the suffering, not negating the fact that there is something that maybe needs to be addressed or needs to be changed, right? And so we can have that positive outlook, but we can't pretend like the other stuff isn't there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at when I was saying, we have to be able to experience and process the energy and feel the energy of that, because otherwise, when we push things down, it just becomes those blocks that we don't want in our energy field. And that's not good for us either, right? Good for our mental health, our physical health, none of that. So yeah, definitely. The positivity, like, it's nice to have the positive quotes and stuff. I do tend to do this a lot, actually, on my Facebook page, have the positive quotes, because it is, when they talk about your vibration, right? Positive thoughts do help you to raise the vibration. So that is an important piece. So raising the vibration by thinking a positive thought brings the vibration up by 10 megahertz, which is important. Right. And that's where those things come in. So a lot of those quotes and stuff that we see on Facebook that are happy quotes, they are to help you increase that vibe, but it's not to negate the other part of it,
Yeah.
So,
and on that, what comes is this idea that, we think, oh, I'm increasing my vibe, so everything is going to be good. Right. And we have to remember that as we increase our vibrational energy, it doesn't mean that the 3D suddenly becomes like, everything is perfect, right? We still have things that are going to come and challenges that we're going to have to face, but we learn to face them in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we learn to navigate them in a different way and with a different energy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And that's where that more conscious, like the observer position you were talking about, we tend, before we start sort of our healing journey, we tend to get caught in that drama triangle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is not positivity. So when they talk about pulling yourself out of the drama triangle and being this observer of what's
Mm-hmm.
happening instead of being caught in the drama triangle, that is a way of creating positivity for yourself. And that is easier. I mean, when you raise your vibe, it facilitates that, but it certainly doesn't guarantee that you're not going to be down there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all do this. Like, doesn't matter what vibration you're starting at. We're all doing this all the time with our vibration, right? It's just that you learn new coping techniques, or instead of doing this, you're doing this instead, right? You're just riding the wave, but lower, in order to get through. And so, I think that's important to note too, that we're always going to be up and down. That is the beauty of the human experience.
Yeah. Well, when I love the whole, like, from this to this, right? And very much in so many different spiritual traditions, they talk about like the middle way, right? Without the extremes on either end. And it doesn't mean that you don't have joy and elation, or that you don't have that kind of really deep sadness. But it means that you're always still, you have that peace that underflows everything. And so you don't go so deep into embracing those extremes, right? And you come back through. And it's funny because people think that when you go through that process in the middle way, it's like, oh, well, that's going to be boring, or I'm going to be flat, or, I'm not going to have all of these, experiences. And it's like, oh, if you could just get there, it's so much more vivid and so much
Yeah.
more alive. And yet there's just this peace and the ability to have that positivity, because there's that gratitude that comes in, and that ability to live in a place of just openness and curiosity and willingness, right?
Yeah.
It's all
And those add spice.
in. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the other thing, I was thinking, like, the gratitude piece and how much that really brings in positivity,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we're really struggling with things, to be able to find something to be grateful for can really help to kind of bring in that positive energy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're feeling down, that is a great thing to start to do, right? And you can do it anywhere, anytime. Just start thinking, okay, what am I grateful for? Because there's something to be grateful for in almost any situation, right? Even some of the worst. There's something to be grateful for. As much as and that, like you said earlier, it's not to negate the negative of the situation, but it is to find that balance. Because if we're always in the negative situation, we don't think about the positive aspect of it, then it makes it challenging to maintain your own balance in this plane, in this dimension.
Yeah. And how much, again, we put our ability to have joy, to have peace, to have happiness, to have any of those things that we deem good feelings outside of ourselves, right? Well, I need to get out of this in order to have that. I can't have that while I'm here. Wow, what barriers we put up, right? The moment that we just even say to ourselves, like, well, I'll have that when. Ooh, right? Right here, right now, I have all of these different things. We have all of the emotions within us, right? Like Thich Nhat Hanh talks about this in a lot of his talks. Just that, we hold within us the vast array of feelings and emotions, right? And at any given moment, we choose to grasp hold of one. But that doesn't mean that the rest of them aren't there.
Yeah.
Right? And so, again, when we think about positivity, it's like, all right now I feel that sadness. I feel it in the core of my being. But I also have joy here. And I also have peace here.
Mm-hmm.
And can I bring all of that together? Because that's my self-nurturing and my ability to get through this sadness and to get the messages that it has for me. Right? And there, in all of that, is positivity, but not in the toxic way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's a lot, about people saying that you have to be positive all the time. There's a lot of that on the net,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that it's kind of, it's important to be reminded of having positive thoughts, because I think we tend to be inundated with negative stuff in the media.
Mm-hmm.
And so in many ways, reminding each other to be positive is a good idea, because like you were saying, if it's like a menu and you're pulling items off the menu
Mm-hmm.
because you have it all in you,
yeah,
let's remind ourselves to have that appetizer with the main course, or have the dessert, right?
right,
So that
right,
we know that we're having more than just, because it can feel like in heavy times, it can feel like your main course is the denser emotions, right? And then just remember, there is the appetizer and the dessert that can sandwich
mm-hmm.
in that, so that it's not so heavy. It helps to
yeah,
buoy it a bit,
yeah.
right?
Well, and I mean, when you think about it, it's like a crying baby. You don't just go, I don't want to hear that. I'm not going to listen to that. Right? No, we bring the baby in and we cradle it and we woo it and we take care of it and we let it know that it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we nurture it and we love it. And, we can't, we don't look at our emotions that way. Right? But when I think about what's, that idea of positivity, it's not that, you know, whatever, the baby can cry and I'm just going to be happy anyway and it's all good. And no, the positivity is
Yeah.
embracing the need and addressing it and moving forward and taking care.
Yeah. So we can act positively towards things and still acknowledge the lesson or the emotion that you're
Yeah.
acting positively towards, right? In order to mediate, like picking up the baby. That's a positivity thing. I'm going to pick up the baby and give them some positivity, but you're acknowledging that the baby's having a hard time at the same time, right? And you might be as well.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I'm an empath, so
Yeah.
baby cries, I feel it.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that it's I guess it's allowing positivity to inform how we act
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. Exactly. And I mean, even just within us, I mean, coming back to kind of the psychological side of things, right? We look at parts therapy, inner child work, all of that kind of stuff, right? One part of us might be throwing down total temper tantrum, and the other part of us is going, I don't want to deal with that. And the other part of us is going, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, right? And another part of us is going, who can help? Who can deal with this? What's going on? Right? And we have all of these different parts and they're all doing different things.
Yeah.
And so, when we think about, okay, like what does positivity have to do with any of that? It's really about how can I wrangle in the masses of who I am and how can I move in a direction that honors who I want to be in this moment, right? And so this idea of I'm positively focused today, it might be I'm positively focused in this moment.
Yeah.
How do I make sure that every part of me is going to be able to get through this?
Yeah.
And that might just be the positivity in that moment.
Yeah, it's true. And positivity is not like a very detailed quality, right? It's like that's not what I want to say. So it can have, it's a variety. There's a range of positivity as well, is what I mean, right? And so if you think about qualities of energy, we bring that positivity in and mix it with whatever else is happening, it creates a different quality of energy that we're sitting in. So there are different levels of positivity that affect the other part that we're feeling. And so when you blend them, you get a synergy of those two energetic qualities. And that's kind of how you start to balance that, I think, in terms of, emotional alchemy and that kind of thing. Right? Because with the alchemy, you're doing mixing to create a synergy. And so allowing yourself to be able to mix the emotions, and like you were saying, you were this and this and this and this, and it's all coming together in a beautiful package. And then it's that package that you're creating that becomes your reality or your perspective on things, right?
And I think that that's something that, I think back to that movie. What's the one? It's the cartoon Inside Out. Is that the right one?
Oh,
For the
maybe.
emotion, like
Oh,
all the
yes.
emotions in your mind.
Yeah.
And how we really think that we have to, well, I'm angry. And that's it. That's all I can be. And I don't know why I feel this other thing, that I'm angry.
Yeah.
Right? And how they go through all of it and realize exactly what you're saying. Right? We have more than one emotion, and it's okay to be happy and angry. It's okay to be, sad and scared. It's and happy, and like it's okay to have all of them, right? And
Yeah.
and it's not right or wrong, good or bad. It's really that moment that we start to judge it, that it becomes not positive, right? That it's not okay to have that experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really the self-judgment in a lot of it, right? When we start to judge the energy rather than just accept the energy as it is, because emotion is energy. So when I say judge the energy, it's judge the feeling or the emotion, the what we're feeling in our body, which is ultimately how we experience our emotions, is in the body. So, and it's about running the energy and accepting how it's running through our body at the moment, because it can be slightly different. Absolutely. Almost all the time, people have like probably 4 or 5 different emotions going at the same time, and it can be very confusing. I mean, you think about a wedding, for instance. There's a big vat of emotion right there, right?
Right.
You've got like often the groom and the bride, they're full of all types of emotion. There's the anxiety of having the day go well, the anxiety of, oh my gosh, am I making the right choice? The anxiety of what is everybody else going to do? And but there's also that huge joy that, oh my goodness, I'm making this commitment to this beautiful person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and I'm so excited about the new beginning. So even a new beginning, you can be excited and sad and scared all at the same time. Right? Because a new beginning of any kind comes with mourning the loss of whatever was before, because you're not in that anymore. You're moving to something new, which can be exciting, but there's still that mourning of the loss of whatever it was, whatever you used to do or used to have. And then there's the excitement of starting something new and the unknown, but then there's also the fear of the unknown that people step into, right? So, a wedding are a great one to look at for that, because they're certainly full of different emotions for everybody.
Yeah. And this is where we bring in again the first one, balance, right? How do I balance all of these different feelings? And how do I determine what I need and what message I need in this moment, and what I need to honor, and what comes from, say, past trauma or experiences that, are leading me to feel this certain way that maybe isn't what's really going on. And, how do I discern all of this that is happening within me? And I think that idea of being positive in this moment allows us to not embrace the trauma response as much, to not go into the woe is me or the victim state or any of those things that trauma really can pull on us. And I'm not saying, I mean, trauma stuff, obviously, like, it's work through it and work through it, you know, with somebody, and all of that. But part of that work is really trying something new and practicing it as you're walking through it, right? And how can I, you know, properly file this? And part of that is going to be really looking at that piece where you've gotten through it and you're beyond it now, right? As opposed to being back in it. And that is the positive side that we have to look at, because, you know, it's that difference between the victim and the survivor, right?
Yeah.
And they're both components of having gone through something really horrible, right? And so if we're constantly staying in the one state, we haven't seen the strength and the support and whatever else came in to help us actually move beyond it, right? And part of us hasn't actually moved beyond it. And so in this sense, you know, bringing in that just change of perspective in a more positive way is really looking at, wow, I actually made it through that moment where I came out the other side, right? And I might still be dealing with stuff and all of that, but I can take a breath.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Hi, Shem. How are you? We've got a couple of people on here. We've got Ted Bricks. We've got Shamina. And Shem says it's a gift of the five senses. It goes, I think, even further than the five senses. We're talking like the sixth sense, right? Because we feel all of that in the other dimensional frequencies as well, in terms of that. Because it's not just about the emotions are multidimensional, because we're multidimensional, right? So being that, we're going to feel it. If it's in a different dimension, if it's here. And when I say dimension, I'm talking like the different frequencies, of course, that are all around us all the time. So that we pick up on, whether we realize we're doing it or not. You know, the intuitives, we just bring more awareness to what we're picking up on. I think everybody experiences other stuff. They just don't pick up on it necessarily in terms of that. So in terms of positivity, what kind of things do you give your clients, for instance, if they're struggling with that positivity? What kind of, like, do you have a simple exercise that you can share about that?
Yeah. Before I even get into that shift, one of the things that I really use is being able to just separate a little bit from our emotions and from our thoughts, right? Again, that piece of being the observer. And for this, something like Leaves on a Stream, meditations are really great, because it's, you know, or even just picturing, you know, your thoughts as something outside of yourself, right? And so for Leaves on a Stream, it's this, you visualize yourself sitting next to the stream, and the stream is flowing. You're not trying to control the flow, you're just watching it go. And as it goes, there's all these leaves. And so when a thought comes, you go, oh, there's that thought. And you put it on the leaf and you just watch it go. No judgment. No, this is a good thought, this is a bad thought, and you do it. And maybe you have the same thought over and over and over, and it's like, that one keeps coming, that's okay. Here you go, right? And you're putting it on the leaf and you're just watching it go. And, you know, part of being able to be positive is to not have that attachment, to be able to step back and observe, because in that moment, we don't immediately go into a reactive judgment. Right? And so if we have that, you know, that in the pause moment, we can then decide how we want to view it and how we want to move forward. And that's where positivity can come in.
Yeah.
Right? But if we don't have that separation, if we're caught up in the whirling of the thoughts in our mind, we become connected to them, and then we think that that's who we are or what our experience has to be. And, to try to change that into something positive is very, very difficult, right? But if I can just step back and go, yep, that's a thought.
Yeah.
Now, where do I want to do with it? Where do I want to go with it, right? Now I have the ability to bring that positivity in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in some ways, positivity is very polarizing when you think about it, right? Because if it's something is positive, it means something else is negative.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's a bit polarizing in that sense too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other
Yeah.
thing to be aware of when we're
Well, and
talking that.
we have this need, our brain has this need to label and to judge,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is good, this is bad. And so, I think, and maybe for some, the definition of positivity is only good. But I don't think that that's how we've had this conversation across the board, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think in this sense, positivity is very much that middle way.
Yeah.
Right. And being able to not label it good or bad, but just be able to go, okay, what is important to me in this moment? How is this impacting that? And what direction do I want to go with it?
Yeah. And I think, when we start to do that kind of thing, we change the pathways in the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we start to use different pathways. And when we create those different pathways, it makes it easier to see things in a different way
Mm-hmm.
than perhaps we've seen them before. So the brain chemistry certainly comes into that along with, but it's training, it's practice, right? When we start to do this kind of work, it takes practice. So, yeah. So we've hit our half hour, and I think that we've had a great conversation. There's Gerald. Hello, Gerald. Tarot Stash. He was on our show last week with Michelle. It was great to have you. Check out his YouTube. It's awesome. So yeah, I think, when we talk about positivity overall, we're talking about really bringing awareness in many ways.
I just want to go back because we have another comment, and I apologize for getting so close to the camera. I'm not wearing my glasses. You can probably
the seeing,
tasting, again, about the senses, right? The hearing, tasting, smelling, and feeling. When we're talking about practices, that's actually, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 meditation, right? What are, in this, everything might be going crazy, anxiety, whatever it is that's going on, to bring us back, right? To ground us and to center us. It's like, okay, in this moment, 5 things that I see, right? And we can bring in things that we love to see, right? I see you. I love that, right? I see, different things in my room. So I would label the 5 things that I see, right?
Yeah.
And then 4 things that I feel. What can I feel? Well, I feel my shirt, right? And I feel this chair that I'm sitting in, and I can feel the wind blowing from the fan, and right. And you go through 4 things, and then it's okay. What are 3 things that I hear? Right. And it's that very grounding by going through the senses. But it also brings positivity in if I'm labeling things that I'm grateful for, or, that bring me joy. So it is an awesome example. So thank you for.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Shem. That's great. So it is a good example of that. And one of the things that I often do with my clients is ask them to write down 3 things that they're grateful for and 3 things they're proud of themselves for every day. Because we don't celebrate our successes enough. And that's another thing that helps us to create that positivity in our lives. Celebration of successes, and they might be small. Like, I tell people, like, if you're having a rough day, it might be the success that you had today might be that you got out of bed, but it's still a success, right? Or I remember to brush my teeth before I left for the office, or I don't know, I got a load of laundry done, or they can be very small successes. They don't have to be I got a promotion at work. They can be little ones. We just need to celebrate them, because we don't do enough self-celebration.
that. Yeah,
So,
I love that. And before we wrap, I just want to add to that because I definitely love that and use that with clients. And one of the things I found too, really helpful is, we have these goals, right? And things that we want to achieve. And we think, oh, well, as long as I stay positive and as long as I stay, I'll be motivated and I'll be good to go. Right. And then we end up not being motivated and good to go. And then we beat
yeah,
ourselves up. Right.
right.
And it's like, whoa, hold on. Where'd this switch come from? And
Yeah.
so, one of the things that I've had clients do in the past too is instead of putting a goals journal, put a successes journal. Only write what you've achieved.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you have another little success, you write it down.
That's a great
Right.
idea.
And
Yeah.
so, let's say the goal was to, read 5 books. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just picking
Yeah.
something random and that's not triggering, I hope.
5
So read
sounds like
5
a
books,
lot. What's your time frame?
and so then it's like, oh, I haven't finished the book yet. Oh, I haven't finished the book yet. Oh, I haven't finished the book yet. It's like, I read a
Yeah.
paragraph today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right.
Yeah.
I read a whole chapter today. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And then it's,
That's right.
eventually as you keep going, it's, I read a whole book. Right.
Yeah.
I finished and then we keep going. But, if we look at all that we didn't achieve, which is so typical, right? It's like, well,
It
I only
is.
read a
Yeah.
page today. I still have 4.5 books left to read, as
Yeah.
opposed to I got done a whole chapter today. I fit that in and I'm proud of myself for it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that helps to build in that positivity that we've been talking about into your practices, right? It also, I find that that also helps us to live in the moment more, right? Because when we're focused on goals, I mean, goals are important to have because it spurns you forward. But I think a goal should not be punitive if you don't reach it. It should be a guideline, right? Instead of set in stone goal, because stuff happens and we do things in the moment, and living in the moment is a great place to be, because it's when you have guilt from past things or anxiety is in the future. So if you can live in the moment, you have less of that. So it should be a guideline to work towards, but not punitive in nature. And so celebrating those little steps along the way is a great way to do it. Oh, we're having a little bit of a technical issue. We can't hear Jen. Yeah, we can't hear you, hon. Sorry. Can't hear you, honey. So I guess we're going to wrap that up.
Is that
oh,
bad?
There we go.
Sorry, my earpiece died, and that yeah, I was saying the other piece in that is, we make really lofty goals sometimes for ourselves.
Yes.
Right. And so there's nothing wrong with breaking the goal down.
Right.
Right.
And
so even going back to the book example, right? If the goal is I want to finish this book by the end of the week, maybe we just say, I want to read a page today. Right. And so if we're going to have a goal, we don't do it in a way that's going to be, this life limiting, but also self-defeating. Right. And
right.
yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be, that's not what it should be. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Britt. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, a goal shouldn't be life limiting. Exactly. And Shem says, we're too hard on ourselves. We're all too hard on it. We are. Yeah, that's definitely, that's the nice part about when you start to be more proud of yourself, because you start to balance how we think of ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah. And you can feel the difference in it, right? Versus this, it's not toxic in its positivity of I finished a page today versus why didn't I finish the book today?
Yeah, that energy feels totally different, for sure. Absolutely. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. We appreciate your nuggets of wisdom that you join and your energy that you bring. And we're so grateful that you've joined us and continue to join us on our Monday Monday shows. And we will be back again next week on Twillow Talk. And we hope to see you all there.
And we'll have a guest.
Yes, we will have a guest next week. Yes. So wait and see who that's going to be. It's going to be exciting. So come on next week, and there'll be 3 of us chatting away about authentic spiritual topics. And we just want to wish you all an awesome week and lots of love from us to you. Have a great week, everyone.